Hi guys, Tommy the Tumor 13, eviction day. Yep. It was like, you've been served papers, mister. You're out of here. Yeah. I brought in a team and they were going to make sure you took all of your junk and you got gone. Yeah. So this one is going to be a little bit about the medical side of stuff. And the reason that I have to share the medical side is because that's where so many of the miracles were amazingly confirmed. So I'm going to kind of hide a lot of the goriness of it, but I am going to have to tell you some of the yuck because it's the woo part of it. Okay. They wheeled me down the long road to the surgery room. And of course you can tell you're getting there because you start seeing frost on the windows. They keep that place so freaking cold. I understand it's to kill germs. I don't know how they do it, but I would be having to wear mittens. Scalpel, mitten. Okay, my family was sent to the surgery waiting room where the place was packed. Apparently, everybody was having surgery that day. Okay, the doctor tells us, okay, it'll take about 2 hours. What we'll do is we'll cut her open and I'm going to send a sample of the tissue from Tommy down to pathology. While that's being done, I'm going to go ahead do some biopsies of all the other organs and the lymph nodes and all of that stuff. Move everything around, make sure everything's okay, do a visual inspection, and then we'll sew her back up if everything comes back negative. Should be about 2 hours. If it doesn't come back negative, then obviously we'll have to change the game plan. That depending on what the other biopsies show, everything, it could be up to 5 hours. And my family's like, okay. And I'm thinking, well, this is a breeze. It's going to be a 2 hour deal. So I'm thinking, okay, 2 hours. Well, that's not very long at all. Man, she's good at what she does. So they wheel me in and Madonna's playing on the loudspeaker in the surgery room. But I'm convinced I'm only going to be in here a couple hours. So this is a breeze. So they're getting me all set up and there's this sweet little grandma while, they're stretching me out and strapping me to tables and moving me around. And mind you, they were moving me and Tommy. And she's like, okay, sweetie. And she's petting my hair. Oh, it's going to be a good day, isn't it? Yeah. Just think when you wake up, you're going to feel so much better. And I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden she goes, ka-chink, ka-chink. And I'm like, hold on. There's electricity in my brain. And she goes, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not joking. And she goes, yeah, we're putting some electrodes there. You turn down some of the anesthesiologist stuff. And so we just want to make sure you're in a good deep sleep so that you're not feeling anything that we're doing. Suddenly I was second guessing my confidence that I had with Mr. Charming anesthesiology guy. But while they're all doing that and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, is this typing my thoughts? If they've got electrodes on me, is there a giant screen somewhere where right now they're reading everything I'm saying or thinking? Hi, everyone. If you're reading this, just know. I didn't know. But I stopped everything I was doing and I was like, okay, God, they're about to put me out. If at this moment I step out of this earth into your heaven, I'll see you in a minute. I really want to stay. I don't feel done. And I ask by your grace and mercy, God, that I get to stay. But Lord, heaven's a good place. So I'm either going to see you in a little bit or I'm going to be grateful that I stayed. Either way, I win. Peace. Okay, Stacy, let's count backwards. 10, 9, 8, out like a light. Okay, so while I'm sawing logs, the doctor apparently has her hands full. And so my husband is sitting out there with my kids and they're all, just messing around on the iPad, reading, just hanging out, laughing. And, the nurse would come out and tell that family over there, oh, your family member's out of surgery. They did great. And my family's like, yay, good for you guys, and stuff. And they were laughing and joking. And then all of a sudden the 2 hours came and they're like, wow. Rodney goes, well, maybe they got a late start. Maybe, they dropped a tool and they had to go get another one or scrub this one up. There's a lot of things that could happen that could have delayed it. And he's watching the clock and all of a sudden it came 3 hours. And he looked at the kids and he said, well, that's not good. Apparently that was all that was needed to evoke some very intense emotions from my family. Pause. Family, I apologize for scaring the bejeebers out of you or causing you any anxiety. If I could have done it any other way, I would have. My apologies, but thank you so much for being strong for me. Okay, moving on. So Rodney said 3 hours passed, 4 hours passed. And he said, now he's looking around, and the waiting room that was once full, there's now just my family and a couple other people. That loneliness is not a good thing. So finally the doctor comes out and she says, okay, here's the deal. When we opened her up, we found out that the tumor wasn't just a circle. It had kind of started to weave itself around other organs. She said, so it took so much time to remove it from the organs. She said, as a matter of fact, okay, if you're keeping track, this is miracle 1. She said it was attached to, is it the ureter or urethra or something that starts with a U that runs from your kidney down to your bladder? Yeah, the U thing is what I'm going to call it. She said it had started to attach to the U thing. And she said, so while we were carefully trying to remove it, she said, I needed to make sure I got all of that tissue so that it didn't leave anything negative behind. And she said, we accidentally nicked it. She said, so we called upstairs to the urology department. We said, look, is there somebody there that can do an emergency surgery? And a guy says, I'm on my way down. He came down within minutes, scrubbed up, and reattached my kidney. Seriously? Just happened to be in the area, just happened to be hanging around, nothing to do. Sure, I'll come down and reattach that kidney for an emergency. No problem. Yeah, had to put a little stent in it, which, trust me, on when I went back to have that removed, I sung his praises. I told him, I said, you are my hero. Thank you so much for saving my kidney. It was just miraculous, and I couldn't thank him enough. Okay. So now she said, went on to say, the tumor was so large, and she said, and she still had a lot of fluid. So she said it was a mess. She said, and once we finally could get it, she goes, it was so heavy, I couldn't lift it myself. And she said, and so I kind of went to roll it out of her. And when I did, it immediately ruptured outside of her body. Had it have ruptured inside, all of that yuck would have been in there, causing me to possibly be septic, causing negative cells to be, it could have been bad, but it just coincidentally poured out of my belly. Okay. She said, once they got it out, she said she had sent tissue down to pathology. Oh, by the way, breaking outside, number 2. Okay. She sent it to pathology. Pathology came back and said, no, she's clear, good to go. And the doctor goes, okay, try again. I'm going to send some other samples. I got a feeling. Miracle 3. They came back and they said, we found cancer cells. Yeah. Endometrial cancer cells. So that was number 3. She said also, while your wife was on the table, because that mass was so large and so much of her body's energy had went into keeping that thing alive, she said once we tried to move it, she said 3 times we had to call out the crash cart. 3 times she almost coded on us. More miracle. She said, okay, so we finally got everything out. She said, and what came out of that thing, I'm sorry, I've got to tell you. She goes, I've been doing this for years. She goes, that was the grossest thing I've ever seen. She goes, I don't know what it was. She goes, as a matter of fact, they said, doctor, do you want to see it? She goes, no, I want to get this thing away from me. I don't want to ever see it again. I'm like, I am so offended. And so she said it was filled with this brown, murky liquid. She goes, I don't even know what it was. My mind is thinking, maybe when I had prayer a couple days before, something died in there and it was burned out like we had prayed. And that's why it was all brown and yucky, because all the life was out of it. I'll know when I get to heaven. I'll tell you then. Okay. So now we've got, almost coded 3 times. Just happened to be a surgeon in the area to fix the old kidney. They found cancer when they said there wasn't cancer. The thing broke on the outside. And the doctor was like, but look, everything that was there, as wrapped around as it was, as large as it was, she said, we got it all. I'm counting that as another miracle, because seriously, folk, that thing had been in there so long, it was attaching itself. It was swirling around. It was just awesomely, magnificently miraculous. And she goes, but we did find cancer. Well, after giving all of that information, she said, I biopsied everything. We've sent everything off. It takes a few days to get it all back, and then we'll let you know what's happened. And so she walked out and, goes about her surgeon business. Surgeon. And so my family is now sitting there. I'm still sound asleep. And they're like, okay. Rodney goes, look, we haven't eaten all day. We've sat here for 6 hours. He said, let's go get something to eat. We're going to stop and we're all going to share what we heard. Because he said, all of us heard different bits and pieces and our mind went down that track. He goes, I think we need to share information so we can see what all we heard, compare our notes and go from there. I said, okay. Well, my daughter-in-law starts to cry. My daughter starts to cry. And Trent's like, come on, folks, we can still do this. And Chelsea, she's I got this. Don't hug me when I'm upset. I'll just get angry. And she's like, I've got it. So they all start walking down towards the cafeteria to get something to eat. And Chelsea, for no good reason, trips on the carpet. And when she does, she chokes on her gum. Well, when she chokes on her gum, it was all she needed. She started to cry. Everybody knew it was bad because now Chelsea's crying. So right there happened to be the chapel. So Rodney goes, let's go in here and do some talking. They go in, they share what they heard, and Rodney says, look, if we take all of this information and add it together, yes, it was cancer. Yes, they had to remove, some non-essential parts at this age, if you know what I mean, some non-essential parts, and Tommy's out. And so he said, look, it wasn't our best scenario, but there was a lot of good reports in this. She got it all. She felt it was encapsulated, and she didn't see any tumors or anything anywhere else. And he said, let's stay positive. And that's when he told my family, let's moll us up. We're going to take this information. If we need to talk about it together, that's fine. But let's keep it to ourselves and let's just be encouraging to Mom. Okay. So now I'm laying there in recovery and I wake up with him pulling out the little tray thing. I went, hello, everyone. And right in front of my bed is the big giant clock. And I look at it and I thought, shoot. I've been in there 6 hours. That ain't good. There's a nurse standing beside me and I said, hey, did they find cancer? And she goes, I'm sorry, honey, I can't tell you anything. You need to ask your family. Seriously? Okay, so now everybody's coming in and they gave me some shots of Novocaine in my belly. Hey, those things were amazing. And they wrapped me all up and bound me all up. And they says, okay, we're going to unplug you and we're going to take you up to your room. And I'm like, great. So they get me all unplugged and I'm sitting there and it was shift change. So suddenly the lights go dim. Since I was the last one in surgery, all of the other people in recovery are gone. They're now in their room and I'm by myself at the end of the hall. Now, they had literally cut me from ribs to there. I said, if they'd have just went another few inches, they could have made two of me. But because of that, she said my abdominals had been completely cut. And so I had no abdominal muscles at all. Well, guess what, folks? In an emergency situation, when you've been abandoned at the hospital and you're in recovery, you don't have your little emergency button because they've already undone everything to get you ready for transport. All you can do is go, help. Can you hear that? Yeah, they couldn't either. Help. Nothing. And I'm like, well, hopefully they'll find me by morning. Hope I ain't dead yet by then. Seriously, that's my thoughts. I'm laying there going, but not only that, I'm not worried about me. Whatever. Something will happen. Somebody certainly, even if it's the janitor, somebody will have to find me. But I'm thinking, my poor family probably think I've died. They're probably thinking, hey, she's been down in recovery for an hour now. She was supposed to be up here. It's 2 hours. She's dead. Maybe I don't know what they were thinking, but now I'm mad because I'm like, stop scaring my family. So finally, I hear this ka-thunk, like somebody opening, the door with the big silver bar. And out of nowhere, I could hear my husband's voice in the distance. And the curtain had been pulled a little bit so I could look around. And I see him coming around that curtain. And I'll tell you what, I have never in 40 years of being with this person been more happy to see him. My knight in shining armor! I could hear him when he came in. Hey, I'm looking for my wife. She was supposed to be up in her room hours ago. Here's the deal. Rodney got tired of waiting. He wasn't going to just sit there and assume and read National Enquirer. Well, yeah, she may be dead. I don't know. I guess they'll come tell me. He came and found me. I love him. Okay, so he finds me. He's holding my hand. In behind him walks the transport guy. Apparently, he's like, oh, that's where that lady was I was supposed to care. I couldn't find her. Yeah. And so they get me all wrapped up and they send me off. And Rodney's holding my hand, and I look at him and I said, well, it's not good, is it? And he goes, no. And I said, so do I have days, weeks, or months? He goes, well, it's not that bad. I go, well, you just assume. And literally my thoughts was, man, if I only have days, that's going to stink. But at least I get to say my goodbye, so I was okay with that. Weeks, yeah, I don't know. That would kind of prolong it. Months, that means they're going to want to do crazy, terrible, experimental, torturous, awful treatment. But you know what? Refuse to be afraid. Put those thoughts down. And I thought, I'm here now. I'm with my family. Nothing else matters. They get me up to my room. And there they all are. I'll tell you tomorrow what happens once I get there. Not because I'm dragging this thing out, but because I've talked 15 minutes. 10's my limit. So, all right. I'll talk to you next time about what happened after. All right. Have a great Sunday. Love you guys.